Hey, family, welcome to episode 2 of season 3 of Mother Knows Best. I consider this episode to be pretty special because I will be just talking to the mommies and, addressing some of the more taboo topics when it comes to motherhood and the way that women navigate our individuality as mothers and as women in general that are parenting children. Um, for me, I have a dual identity. With the first most important one being myself before I was even a mother. I'm me, and then as a mom, it comes secondary. It has to come secondary because, like when they say you're in an airplane, you need to put your mask on yourself first, and then the next person, and then the person next to you, and then the child, because you're useless. And I mean that in every sense of the way. As a parent, if you're not pouring into your own cup, it took me 11 years of parenting to learn that if I did not understand the importance of prioritizing myself as much as humanly possible, as much as what was feasible at the time, that it would be hard for me to show up as a happy mom. Because I believe you can show up as any kind of mom you want to be. But if you want to show up as a happy mom that your children actually enjoy, cherish, feel safe with, you have to pour into yourself. Once again, this was not necessarily a thing I saw growing up. I would have conversations with my grandmother. She had never been to get like a pedicure before at a real nail salon. And I thought, what do you mean? Grandma at that point, she had been on the earth 70 plus years. So I figured she had had these experiences as a modern woman, as a fashion designer, as a tailor, as a holistic healer. She had had certain experiences. But the reality was there was still a limitation in her belief system about the way that she was able to pour into herself. And her allowing me to have that side of her, and her being candid with me about that process, taught me a lot about the nuances of motherhood and what it meant to be an individual within motherhood. Women are taught to be self-sacrificing in every sense of the way, especially when there are children involved that come from our bodies. We sacrifice ourselves on a hospital bed. It's about the closest to death as you can get, birthing a child. And so from that moment on, we're expected to give absolutely everything that we have, which is understandable, but it's not always feasible for personal growth. And I say that because so many issues with the self-sacrificing part is the lack of honoring ourselves and the lack of cultivating proper mental health and coping skills to allow us to be okay in times that are difficult. We can face difficult times and find that we are still not okay and lash out on our children or our partners or our support system or our village, which is already, in this day and time, few and far between for many women. you can drive away the very help that you need. So what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, your self-care practices are for your soul. They're for your soul growth. They're not for an aesthetic. They're for you to be able to keep going on. My grandmother would call me the self-care queen. And I never quite understood what that meant, but now I understand. Now approaching my mid-30s, that she saw how I prioritized my well-being and my self-care. And she was proud of that. And that's why she was so happy when she would say it. Because it's like, you're an incredible mother. You show up for your children. You go to bat for them. You make sure their needs are met. But you also go get your nails done. But you also go get the pedicure. You also make sure your hair is done. You also take the time to put a little something on your face, make sure your skincare is still well. You're still resting, and, you're still honoring yourself. I love the fact that she made me feel okay loving on myself in a world where women are seen for our benefit and not necessarily our true value and purpose. So I say to other moms, from the very bottom of my heart, that in your toolbox should be meaningful things that have a soul-fed experience, so that you can show up in your wholeness as a mother. It's not just the aesthetics of these YouTube videos and these influencers, and by golly, I'm in full support. Get your bread, get your money, girl. But then you showing up by doing journaling and coloring books and starting a business that honors yourself and helps you express your unique talents, telling your story even when it's scary, mentoring and being there for other mothers, always being willing to learn, constantly being a student. There's still so many things and I love it. There is still so many things that I'm learning, even through motherhood, even through being a mother for 11 years. Even through childbirth, nursing, providing, being a sole provider for my children. And there were times where I was not receiving any child support. I wasn't receiving any financial assistance at all. I was just getting out the mud on the IOU, asking people to help me with my children, and I would pay them back when I could. Trusting people that I really did not know well, but in my heart, I knew they were okay. They were cool. But having to be so vulnerable to allow myself to shape a village around me for support for me and my children was hard at times, especially because I was growing up with them. They were growing up with me. And trusting myself. And then what we'll get more into in the next episode is trusting myself to allow, the fathers of my children to show up for them in ways that I had not experienced growing up myself and had not had access to. And trusting that although we weren't in an intimate relationship, or we weren't going to be in a romantic relationship, they wanted to be the best fathers that they could be, and allowing them to do that, like stand out the way so that they could happen. It was just so many nuances. And I think for me understanding my role saved my life. Like, there was some kind of normalcy associated with being this superwoman. Every day, we're just going day by day. We're just going day by day. We're getting through the day the best we can. I did not show up to be no superwoman. I am a human being. And I have my days and days when I'm not okay. And I am blessed enough to be able to have open lines of communication with my children so that they can understand when I'm not okay, that I'm overstimulated. They can respect that. They can give me my space. We can take time where we're communal together, but we're also working and playing separately within the same spaces together to limit us all being overwhelmed. you know? And I'm so blessed in the sense that I have raised such respectable young people, and considerate and like really good humans. And that's all I really ever wanted to do. And now they just need guidance. But I've done the hard work, the heavy lifting part. And now I feel like I'm really embracing the individuality part. Like getting my pink back means no longer having to feel like I'm obligated to be in a state of depression or just utter complete joy. Sometimes it's just, you know what, I'm content. I'm cool. I'm straight. It took me a long time to realize I could be on baseline, and that was good enough for kids. And like I said, we grew up together, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. They saved my life. I was always meant to be theirs. They were always meant to be mine. And something so humbling about motherhood, like it will humble your ass. Like you will just be like, it keeps you soft, it keeps you human, it's funny, it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you grinding, it keeps you aspiring for something. Like my children have kept me aspiring for something. And if your children don't make you just want to pop up out the bed and just like conquer the world for them and make you brave, then it's just like you're not seeing them properly, because they really are they're little itty bitty areas for growth inside of you. They're practice. They're God's reminder. So I say all that to say that on the journey of motherhood, you really begin to understand yourself more than ever, and what you may or may not have put your own parents through. Like some stuff, it's like, oh my God, I can't buy it. He or she came by it honestly. And the beauty, it's really beautiful. It's exciting. Every time for me, it's exciting. Like being a mother. And it makes me so joyful, because I can apply myself in the most soft and feminine way, yet be as brave and strong and feral as ever. And those two personalities can live simultaneously within my emotions and be okay and acceptable to society. I'm like super duper grateful for having learned kind of somewhat like the boundaries and the journey. I'm so grateful for everything that I thought that went wrong, because it always worked out for me. I can truly say that. It always worked out for me. Any which way that I chose, it was a lesson there in it. But I was helped the whole way. So I would say that to any mothers out there, even single mothers with no romantic partners, very little support, that you just lean in. There's so much to gather. There's so much to glean. Don't avoid them. Guide them, support them. Okay? Craft out time for yourself, to know yourself. Create limits and boundaries. I always say this, I say this very frequently, that children need something really strong and a little rough to rub up against so that they know that they're stable, so that they know that they're safe. So as long as you're scared of being that strong fortress for them, they will just run all over, run amok. It's because they don't feel safe. And one of the biggest things I learned about being a mother is that having that strength and being able to show up as a place of safety for my children, it has saved them and it has saved me. I needed to know that they will come to me with any and everything that they were experiencing. And I need them to know that I'm human, and sometimes I will go to my children for advice and say, what do you think about this and that? Because they're just so innocent, there's no pretense. Sometimes my children have given me the best advice I could ever receive, have given me insight that I did not see that way. And when I'm really confused, God tells me to talk to them about things, to open up that dialogue and to let them be them. Because we get so caught up in, I need to be me, I need to be a mom, I need to be dad, that we sometimes disregard the fact that they need to be them too. They're people too. And I also say this a lot. I also say that a lot of people do not consider children as people. They consider them as opportunities. And it's sick. It's very sick. But that's the truth. Because they're so strong and spongy and soaking up everything and so pure, people look at children as opportunities instead of human beings. And I've let my children know from day one that they are somebody. They are somebody. They are somebody amazing. And I was going to get everything that there was in them and I was going to pull it out. I was going to pull it out and show them. Because I felt that no matter what I was going through, I was somebody. And I was never going to let them feel that they weren't loved and adored, even on their worst day. And I think that is what it was all about. And that's all it's all about. There's no perfect parent, but you can try real hard. You can try real hard to do the best you can every day. And your best is good enough. It's good enough. Your best is good enough for that day. When you try a little harder the next day, you can only do your best. Lean in on your village. There's more people around you that want to help you than you know. But you will never know if you never voice the need. It's been a pleasure. You know how I like to chop it up with y'all. Run the episode back, share with a friend, comment, answer the poll questions, share. Every view counts, and I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for staying here with me for episode 2, season 3, Woman Knows Best. Have a blessed evening and take care. Bye-bye.